Well, the case of Livia Smith has been a puzzling and frustrating one for Metro Police. Last winter, she was found dead just hours after taking a cab from a popular night spot. News 2's Chris Bundgaard has been digging into the case and uncovering new details.
Her life was cut short in a manner almost unspeakable. A brother told us he could barely talk about what happened to his sister.
Leaving someone on the side of the road like a animal.
A makeshift memorial is still testament to where Livia Smith was found dead. It was on a quiet East Nashville street last February, within sight of her home.
She was just a sunny golden child.
Clutching a portrait of the young makeup artist who is now gone, Livia Smith's mother, brother, and best friend hoped for answers last February. 7 months later, investigators can't tell them much for certain.
We've gone through 1,000 scenarios as to what could have happened, but we just don't know exactly what did happen.
In looking into this case, here's what we do know about the last few hours of Livia Smith's life. She had been at some bars in the popular Five Points area in East Nashville. According to police, on February 20th, Livia was walked to a cab by a female friend. She and other witnesses saw Livia get in a van-type vehicle alone with a male driver. It was about 2 a.m. on a night when the temperature was in the 20s.
She was found, I guess, right about where the memorial is set up. She was lying right here in this lane of traffic.
Police think the van-like cab brought her here, but Livia may have wanted to quickly get out of the cab while it was still moving, fearing possibly robbery or sexual assault.
It just looked like she just came right out on her back and just landed straight back on her head and struck her head on the pavement.
Did she die here?
She did.
Police wanted to talk with the driver of a yellow-looking cab Livia was said to have gotten in 2 hours before her body was discovered on the road.
If we could find the driver, identify the driver of the cab, I mean, that would bust this case wide open.
But drivers and their companies showed no record of Livia Smith ever taking a cab outside the Nashville bar.
Talking to all of the ones that normally hang in this area, they say they know nothing about it.
A lot of it boiled down to these cab companies not keeping really good records.
Or a cab driver illegally not recording a fare. It's all left a family enraged.
I mean, it's going to drive me crazy until they find who is responsible for this.
Metro investigators believe someone out there knows what happened to Livia Smith on that winter night. They just haven't come forward yet. Chris Bundgaard, Nashville's News 2.
And there is still more to this story. Tomorrow night, a warning for women who take cabs home late at night. It comes from investigators, and they offer ways for these women to stay safe.
It's not about the crime, it's about where we are today.
The only woman ever released from Tennessee's death row breaks her long silence. Gail Owens came within a few months of execution before a former governor changed her sentence. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Dwyer.
And I'm Ann Holt. Owens had hired a hitman to kill her husband. It left a son deeply estranged from his mother for 23 years until he forgave her. Now, Gail Owens is talking about it publicly for the first time. She spoke with Chris Bundgaard.
I had to learn to be the mother to an adult son, and he had to learn to have a mother around that he had not had around for all those years.
For nearly a quarter of a century, by his own choice, Stephen Owens never walked with his mother Gail, much less sit next to her. She hired a hitman who killed his father, her husband, but then Stephen decided to reconcile. It started with the birth of his grandson.
To be honest with you, I just felt like whether you're in a good situation, bad situation, I was trying to do what I thought was the right thing, and I thought the right thing, no matter what, was that she knew she had a grandson.
Now Stephen's mother is in his life every day after she became the only woman ever released from Tennessee's death row 2 years ago. A commutation from then Governor Phil Bredesen led to her parole and eventual freedom.
For Governor Bredesen to be willing to grant me commutation was more than I could have ever expected. I couldn't believe that it could happen, to be honest with you.
Gail Owens was convicted in 1986 in the murder-for-hire plot that led to Ron Owens' death. Allegations of being a battered wife were cited when her sentence was commuted.
I think the main thing is that it's a prime example of how big our God is.
Now, Stephen Owens has written a book called Set Free. It's about forgiveness.
And so I said the only way I would do one was if it was something I felt like other people could use and find the same relief I have.
And it's a way to hopefully help other people learn that there is reconciliation, there is hope, and there is a freedom in being able to forgive.
Words a mother thought she might never say about her son. Chris Bundgaard, Nashville's News 2.
The Owens appear tonight on a panel at Nashville's First Amendment Center. Tonight at 6, the life of the ex-death row inmate now as a working grandmother. In other news this afternoon, the look of Metro Parks could soon be changing a bit.
Yeah, Metro Council vote last night allows company names in Metro Parks if the business pays for the sponsorship. Chris Bundgaard talked with the man behind the idea and some people who may not be so sure about this.
So might you see a Greek yogurt brand emblazoned across the Parthenon, Gucci in the upscale Warner Parks, or Nike at city-owned ball fields? Well, not quite.
And that's not the intent of anything that got passed by council last night.
Metro Parks Director Tommy Lynch says the intent is to allow sponsorships of events or programs in Metro Parks.
It may help a kid, an at-risk youth. Someone may sponsor a basketball league.
Or maybe small company logos scattered on things like scoreboards at those city fields, all things designed to lessen taxpayer support of the park's budget. The parks director points to the mutt mitts at Metro Dog Parks where you pick up what your pet leaves. A pet company wanted to pay $30,000 for its logo on the mutt mitts, but by law could not do it.
And that $30,000 could have been used to fix an air conditioning unit in a gym.
Some park users, like this mother and daughter, aren't so sure about seeing company names around parks.
That would bother me.
Why?
Because it's a park and it's supposed to be natural, not business and all that.
Across town at Shelby Park, the operator of the Old Timers baseball facility would welcome certain company logos around the stadium.
And if we were able to post some type of tasteful banner or advertisement on their behalf, that makes the a little more bang for their buck.
The next step is for the Parks Board to hammer out sponsorship rules, and given the amount of people and pets who use Metro Parks, there will be no shortage of opinion about what those rules should be. Chris Bundgaard, Nashville's News 2.
Now, the Parks Board is expected to take up the rules for sponsorship at its next meeting, November 5th.
The question for many in the city of Nashville was whether the production would shoot a second season on location like it did during the first year, instead of moving elsewhere for maybe a better financial deal.
Don't do that. You're beautiful.
But now, no country heartbreak for the city of Nashville. ABC said Friday the show will continue to film in the streets, honky-tonks, and office towers of its namesake.
You are?
That's a relief to those who sell and promote the city and see the show as a moneymaker.
You can absolutely talk about 40+ million that they'll spend producing the show, and that's money spent here.
Nashville's executive producer tells News 2 it was always a priority to keep production here because this is an integral character in the show. The show's Steve Buchanan said he appreciated the city and state stepping up, a reference to an incentive package for the production that's still being worked on. Last year's incentives are believed to be around $11 million, but a lot of groups are involved in keeping the show in Nashville.
The film industry, governor's office, the city, Ryman Hospitality, everybody was working in concert. It was a brilliant, unified effort.
We should change.
No.
Nashville is staying in Nashville. Now that's something to sing about. Chris Bundgaard, Nashville's News 2.